Hello.
Anything.
I wanted to ask Keisha McLeod a question.
All right. Well, let's move on. Hopefully, the caller will come back. We were going to talk about the Pacquiao-Margarito fight to lead off the show, but I think after this past weekend's, we got to talk about Sergio Martinez versus Paul Williams. Wow, it was a rematch. The first one was a close decision for Paul Williams. This one did not have the same result. It went 2 rounds, and Martinez just eviscerated Williams and pretty much put him to sleep in the second round. And there was a surprise for everybody. Everybody thought that it was the second fight would play out the same way as the first fight. Aris, what was your impression?
What a knockout.
Yes.
What a knockout. Paul Williams and Sergio Martinez, the big rematch. Everyone thought the first fight was close to being the fight of the year. Everyone thought this fight would be the fight of the year. It turned out not to be that way. Sergio Martinez certainly scored the knockout of the year with a vicious left hand in the second round that completely knocked Paul Williams unconscious. It happens in boxing. You know, Williams has a tendency not to use the reach that he has. He has the wingspan of a plane, but he doesn't know how to use it. Yeah,
I agree. I think that he is more of an ego thing with him. He thinks he can go and fight toe to toe with these guys, and yeah, he did a very good job at it. But if you don't have to, why? Exactly. I'm always the taller fighter, and hey, I don't need to be punched if I don't have to be punched.
Right.
You know? If I'm tired, I think that's when I may go in there and then try to bang it in with them. But it was the first and the second round. You shouldn't be tired.
Hold that thought. I think the caller is back. Hello, welcome to Fight City.
Hi. Yes. Thank you. I had a question for Fire McLeod.
I can't. Well, let's continue. You were talking about Williams and his tendency to take punches when he doesn't need to.
Doesn't need to, no. And I don't need to when I'm in a fight. If I don't need to, I'm not going to take them. And I guess it's a macho thing. He feels he can go in and bang it in with them, and he did a good job at it.
Right.
But I mean, he could have did a lot better with sticking the jab, stepping, and then your combination and move.
The problem is Martinez is a very slick fighter. He knew what to expect, and he knew Williams had a tendency to do that, especially drop his right hand. Okay. And what Martinez was doing, I noticed this during the fight, was that he kept on landing right hooks over and over.
Right.
And while he was doing that, Williams was subconsciously keeping his left hand up. Yep. He wasn't thinking about the left hand coming, and that's when Martinez, boom, splat, fight over.
Right. And I mean, they both were throwing lefts at the same time. It's just that Martinez's left got there.
And it was a lot shorter. Martinez has a shorter reach.
Just it was perfect. It was perfect. Now I didn't agree really with the commentators who thought that Paul fought a perfect fight. That was not a perfect fight.
Right.
At all. Because if it was a perfect fight, he wouldn't have been.
He wouldn't have been knocked out.
Exactly. He should have used the reach.
Played with fire and was burned.
Right. So this is certainly good news for Lou DiBella, who promotes Sergio Martinez. He must have been really happy. And by the way, when in interest of full disclosure, Alice over here is Lou's personal dog sitter. So just so everybody knows. So Lou has to be very happy.
I saw Lou the next day when he came to pick up Chaplin, his dog, and to say that he had the biggest smile in the world on his face is an understatement. Lou, I've never seen him that happy in my life. As in his own words, he says this never happens to him. He never has good luck. He's always complaining about, the boxing politics getting to him. So for him to get a big win like this, I know this is going to do him a lot of good.
Right, but then the question becomes, what's next for Martinez? He's a 35-year-old fighter. He's young. He hasn't taken a lot of punishment throughout his career. He's the baddest man in the middleweight division right now. What are his options in such a shallow division right now?
Lou and Martinez, Martinez said he would do it, but Lou has said specifically he doesn't want him to go to 168. He thinks that Martinez is pretty small as a middleweight to begin with. So a fight with Lucian Bute, even though it'd be great, that's really out of the question. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, as much of a dream fight as those would be, those are probably out of the question. After seeing that, you think they're going to jump up and fight him?
Right.
And the only two guys in the division right now that might do it would be Felix Sturm, which would be an interesting fight, but it wouldn't bring a lot of attention, and the guy that just knocked out Danny Jacobs, Dmitry Pirog. Those two fights are the only ones right now that Martinez, I see, can really step up to his game. Maybe a rematch with Kelly Pavlik if he can get his personal problems together. Other than that, not much out there.
Right. I mean, is there any thought of maybe Martinez moving back down to junior middleweight and taking on some of the guys in that division?
You know, that could happen too. There's guys out there. If he wanted to fight a rematch with Margarito, the only other person to beat him, I'm sure he would spank Margarito this time. A lot of people would agree.
Right.
He could fight Margarito. If Alfredo Angulo, if he can get his visa problems and immigration issues in check, there's another fight out there for him. So Martinez has options. It's just not the ideal options he'd like because he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place in the middleweight division right now.
Right, and it's always been sort of a glamour division within boxing, the middleweights. So, and he's the king right now. I would love to actually, to see him try to move up to 168, where all the baddest fighters. I would love to see him versus Andre Ward. Even though that might be a huge size advantage for him.
It would be. Ward's tied up right now, but we'll see.
Right.
It could happen.
It could.